Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new unboxing, and this time we are going to make a look to the Warhammer Underworld's Hexbane Hunters. So this is the Witch Hunter warband that has been just released for as a how it's called, expansion for Warhammer Underworlds, and we are going to make a look to what it has. Okay, so this is a warband with 6 miniatures. Of course, it comes with a small leaflet to explain you how to assemble them, and here we are going to make a look to them assembled. So let's start with the leader. So this is the leader of the unit. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, they are assembled and primed. Of course, I will need to work on this gap here. You can see I think I will put glue at the end to eliminate this gap, because there are some gaps that are going to be quite tricky to eliminate. Yeah, but overall it assembles quite easily. You have to be a little bit careful, but that's all. Okay, so the fire I like how it looks like. So overall is a nice miniature. This is the lady that is going with Hexbane. Okay, again we have here is much easier to dissimulate, so the gaps are less visible, and the shoulder pad, the good thing is that the line is finishing where the shoulder pad, because it's just a half shoulder pad. So this is going to be much, it's not really a shoulder pad, it's more the jacket shape. So this is going to be much easier to dissimulate. Once painted, you will not be able to see any gap here. The dogs, I use glue, and I have to admit, when you use glue, you see that the top gap is almost inexistent. Once painted, this is not going to be visible. Okay, well, here we have the 2 dogs. I recommend paint each one of them with the color of the cards, because they are pretty similar and easy to confuse. So the only difference, well, the big difference is that these have like a harness, okay, have different type of color than this one, so it's going to be the way to identify. But I think once painted, really use different paint jobs to distinguish them easily on the ground. This is the crossbow man. Okay, the gaps are in places where are easy to hide. The shoulder pads, you can see I have not used glue, and they are quite, there is no gap there. The only gap you will see here is there, but it's where where you have different joints, so it's going to be easy to dissimulate all the gaps with the paint job. I don't expect any problem here. And in this one, again, we have this gap here that I most likely will need to use glue at the end. As you can see, this was not well assembled, so I wanted to rework a little bit here. Okay, now it's better. So yeah, now it's better, but you can see, no, it's quite nice. So because this is going to be not visible once it's painted. Okay, so again, they have improved a lot how these miniatures assemble. I also like that the bases are very similar to the other ones, so I think they will match together quite nicely. And here we have the full warband just painted. Okay, I just primed, assembled and primed. I wanted to show you how they look once they are assembled. Okay, and now let's make a look to the cards, because I find them quite interesting. So we are going to make first a look how these warbands will perform in Rivals. Okay, and then I will look also well the Champions cards. So you can see, I will just show the ones I think are more interesting. So these are the different characters we have here. So they are all low wound, quite standard movement, 3 and 4, not big movements. Okay, you can see, and the dogs are moving 4, but they have some mechanics that are quite interesting. How they got inspired, you have to be careful, because each hero can have different rules to get inspired. For example, this one gets inspired when enemy targets Askel Hexbane. Okay, so when the boss is attacked, does not say that the attack has to be successful or fail, just when it's attacked. Okay, and all of them have a rule that I will, let me go first to the Hexbane. I just was sharing them in the, okay, let's go first with the hero, with the boss, because we have here the price of victory. This is a reaction that use this after a hunter is dealt damage that will take them out of action. So when one of your hunters is killed, all your warbands are hunters except the dogs. Okay, so when this happens, give the fighter 1 upgrade from your hand, or remove 1 charge or move token. from this fighter. Do not spend glory points when you play this card. So you put a gauge for free, and this reaction is on every of your hunter guys, okay? So the price of victory is in every of your hunter guys. So this is quite an interesting reaction that makes the warband quite strong. This guy who gets inspired when he's killing an enemy, okay, when an attack action is killing an enemy, well, it's going to be quite difficult. And when you get inspired, you're really becoming quite a beast, right? With the pistol being damaged 2, and you have also attack of range 1 with Gravius that is damage 2. Okay, but overall, is not the strongest guy. Okay, 3 shields, 3 movement, 1 shield, 3. This is quite. This I think is even more interesting. This gets inspired when one of your dogs is killed. Okay, so if you kill one of the dogs, this guy gets inspired, and you can see that he already have a range 3, 2 hammers, damage 2. Okay, it's a crossbow, have knockback and reload, meaning that you only can shoot once per action phase. When you get inspired, you get super precise with 3 hammers. He's not going to fail most of the times. The main improvement is the 3 hammers, and then it's changing the 2 swords on the close combat into 2 hammers. Okay. This is a guy that you want him to shoot at least once every phase to display this 2 damage. So quite a strong guy. This is the tanky guy, the guy that is good in close combat, but you have to be careful. All these guys are quite easy to kill. Again, we are having 1 shield, 3 wounds, so it's easy to kill with 1 enemy tag, all of them. And you get inspired when Hexbane is being attacked, okay? So it's like the bodyguard of Hexbane. And then have the reassuring presence on top. If this fighter is within 2 axes of another fighter hunter, and that hunter is the target of an attack action, this fighter is a supporting. So it's really a key to have this guy close to the other warband. So this guy will be more or less put in the middle of your warband to be able to give support. And I guess will be one of the first targets. When he got inspired, you can see he's quite reliable with the axe, with these 2 hammers. When gets inspired, is a killing machine with the axe, with 3 hammers and cliff. Okay, we're keeping the reassuring presence as a ability. Then we have this lady, Brigitte Axwold. Okay, this is a lady that have a shooting attack with 2 hammers and damage 1, and a close combat attack with 3 swords and damage 2. Quite reliable, but is very fragile. Okay, only 1 dodge and 2 damage, but has the next rule with the pistol volley reaction. The first time this attack action is made each round, if the target is adjacent to this fighter, pick 1 plus 1 dice or plus 2 damage. So if you can do 3 damage with 2 hammers if you are next to your opponent. So this is, you want to keep this lady in reserve. In reserve, I mean one of the ladies at the back. And when the opponent is coming to you, you want to use this lady to do quite attack. So you want to keep her for one of the last actions in the round. Okay? When she got inspired, on top the volley the volley becomes less precise, you can see. We change from 2 hammers to 3 swords. Well, it's more or less the same, but has cliff. Okay, making it quite dangerous. And the close combat attack is 3 hammers. Look at 3 hammers with a scything. So she's becoming quite, but again, and he's willing to dodge. Not very reliable in defense. It's becoming like a ghost, right? In terms of defense, not the best, but okay. And she is inspired when Haskell Hexbane is inspired. So when he's inspired, the lady is inspired as well. Okay, you can see each one have quite a different way to get inspired. Then we have the 2 dogs. the two dogs, if I'm not wrong, are the same. So both have the loyal hound rule, meaning that reaction, use this after a friendly hunter move action. This fighter makes a one move action. So these guys are moving each time you're removing one of your humans. Okay? And they move forward, so they're pretty fast, they don't do too much damage, and they are not too much reliable. 2 source, 1 damage is not too reliable, and they are easy to kill. 1 dodge and 2 wounds. Okay? And this fighter cannot be a hunter, and this fighter has not bounty unless a friendly rat spike is out of action and the other one isn't get. So only are bounty if one of the other dogs is killed. Okay? And they are companions of the guy with the crossbow. Okay? They are companions of this guy. How they got inspired? When the other dog is killed, or when the guy with the crossbow is killed. Okay? And when they are inspired, they are still not amazing, but they want 1 dodge, and they are a little bit more reliable with the bite. Okay? But they are not really super amazing. These are really more to use as a support fighters and as a just more for movement. Then we go to the cars, okay? And then I realized that most of the plots you have here, you want to use them in this warband. They are most of them very good. It's not excellent. So let's go. I will, although this video will be long, let's go and make a look to the different plots. Okay, play this after. So it's a reaction. Play this after friendly hunter with 1 or more upgrades is deal damage. Reduce the damage by 1 to minimum of 1. Not bad. Okay, -1 damage. So this is very key. If they are going to kill one of your guys, you play that. It's not kill anymore, and you can screw up the plans of your opponent. Next one, choose a friendly fighter, give the chosen fighter an upgrade from your hand, and do not spend any glory point. Okay, this used to be in the past, a card very similar, but on top, when you play this card, you can spend 1 glory point. If you do, draw 1 power card. So it's, if you have a glory point on top, you take another card. So this is really a very, very good one. Okay, it's really very good one. This is a domain, only for this warband. Enemy fighters treat X's adjacent to friendly hunters as lethal, in addition to other X types. This is amazing, right? So you're forcing the opponent that if he wants to come to kill one of your guys, he will receive 1 damage, because all the around X's are lethal. This effect persists until the end of the round, until this gambit deals damage to an enemy fighter, or until a friendly fighter makes a move action, or until another domain is played. So, of course, once you do the damage, it's out, but it's really good. It's really good one. The reaction. Play this in your power step after a friendly hunter is giving an upgrade. Remove all move and charge tokens. So this is a better option of ready for action. This is a better option of ready for action, because it's not that you do the action, it's you remove the tokens. For me, it's like a better. Then we have this one, reaction. Play this card, this after the out of action check of a friend hunter's action. If the target was taken out of action, choose 1 friendly hunter that inspired that hunter and draw a power card. This is super good. So you kill an opponent. Okay, this is the way to inspire this guy. You kill an opponent with any other guy. You inspire this guy, and suddenly you also inspire the lady. So it's really good. I think it's really a good card. This one. Anything that allows you to inspire and is not too difficult, I think it's a good card. There's one. Choose a friendly Aemos, Bridget, or Haskell. So anyone that has, so anyone except the boss, okay? Aemos, Bridget, or Haskell. Haskell is the, anyone except the guy with the axe, with the crossbow, okay? So any hunter with, and then what given? Choose a friendly. The chosen fighter makes the following attack action. So it's an attack for free of 3 X's, 2 swords, and 1 damage. Finisher, +1 dice and cliff to this attack action if the target is adjacent and vulnerable. Okay, so really, this is an attack for free. I buy it. This card cannot be played in opponent's 3rd or 4th power step. Okay, it has to be played in the second or the 1st or 2nd action. Until the end of the next power step, enemy fighters cannot cast spells and opponents cannot play ploy cards. Not bad. Okay, not bad. It's not amazing. This is maybe one that is not amazing, but it's not bad. Next one, +1 dice to the first range 1 attack action made by friendly hunter in the next activation. A very standard one, +1 dice is always welcome to any hunter, so it means all the humans. Okay. In the next activation, the characteristic of enemy fighters' attack actions cannot be modified, and cliff and snare cannot affect friendly fighters' defense rolls. You can see. So this is really a good defense. If you've been attacked with a guy with, so this is really good, because for 1 turn you really improve a lot your saving. Choose enemy fighter, +1 dice to attack actions made by friendly fighters that target the chosen fighter. This effect persists until the chosen fighter is out of action or ends an activation in your territory. So you can see this is forcing the enemy. See, the enemy is playing very defensively. It's not bad. +1 dice to attack actions, and it persists. If the guy have moved already, you persist almost until you kill it, but +1 dice, because until it's out of action or ends an activation. So, and you're forced to activate. So if it's in your territory and he already charged, okay, if you put this on this guy, on the opponent guy, is not. It will stay until the end of the round because it cannot be activated anymore. And then the grades. The grades are also, so I think the plots are quite good and useful. Then we have the grades. This fighter has the following cumulative benefits depending on the friendly hunters are out of action. So this, like it was a very similar card that was the, I don't remember, from season 1, that was given a big bonus if you were the last player. So this is, for me, a better version. So you have +1 wound if there is 1 hunter killed. You have +1 wound and +1 dice to attack actions if there are 2 hunters killed. And if you are the last hunter, you have +1 wound, +1 dice, +1 damage. So no, not bad. The next one, the Charm Horseshoe. +1 dice to this fighter attack actions. This fighter attack actions have a snare, right? +1 dice for free, and it's for hunters. And you have to be careful because this is restricted to your leader. Okay, this is why I think you want your leader to be. You want to attack first with the crossbow guys and the XM guy and the dogs, and keep your leader for the last rounds. So +1 dice to this fighter attack actions is very good, and the snare on top. This one. It's a crazy one for me. I think it's really good. So each time this fighter range 1 attack actions take a target out of action, pick 1 +1 glory point by the face. So you have 2 glory points for killing an enemy. Or the target cannot be raised. So you put if you play against death faction, you eliminate the mechanism of your opponent. Place the affected target, these fighters on one side, so, and it's not breaking, so you can, each time you kill one guy with this guy, cannot be resurrected anymore. Deep Scars, +1 wound, -1 damage. Attacks action that target this fighter to minimum of 1. So it's a better option than the, what was this? It's better than just the +1 wound. This fighter cannot be dealt damage by, and you cannot be dealt damage by gambits. So really, this is good for anyone in your one. It's only for the quiet poke. Okay, so this is the only drawback is that it's only for this guy. Okay, +1 wound and -1 damage, and it's making him very strong. This is for everybody, +1 defense. This fighter cannot be dealt damage by lethal exits or gambits. Okay, again. +1 damage to this fighter. So gambits, it also includes spells. Because gambit, it is not just plots, it's gambits. This one is +1 damage to this fighter range 1 or 2 that target a fighter. So this is like the one of the cards that we already so +1 damage if the enemy have 4 wounds. This one I also think is quite good. You can reroll 1 dice in this fighter defense rolls. The target of this then the target of this fighter's attack actions cannot have supporting fighters. So on top, so you can reroll first 1 dice in the defense rolls, and on top, when you attack, your opponent cannot have supporting fighters, and the attackers that target this fighter cannot have supporting fighters neither. So the enemy cannot have supporting fighters against this. This card cannot be broken, and cannot be broken by any means. Okay, because it's a tattoo. And this is also a crazy one. So this is an attack. This is the pistol, but look, the surprise. Surprise is a reaction. Okay, this attack cannot be modified by any means. It's always 3 swords. That is quite reliable. Range 4. Okay. Surprise reaction. Use this after an enemy fighter move action. Remember, charge is a super action that have a move and an attack. This fighter makes an attack action. It must target the enemy fighter and cannot drive the target back. So you can do 1 damage for free each time your opponent is moving. Range 4. If you are in the middle of the board, it's almost you are controlling a lot of board, right? This card, I think it's amazing. This one is a special card. It's a spell action, okay? And then if the cast deal 1 damage to each enemy fighter within 2 axes of this fighter. So it's quite strong one, okay? And this fighter is Wizard X while attempting to cast this spell, where X is the number of friendly hunters that are out of action, to maximum of 3. And of course, will never be more than 3, because you only have 4. So this have to go to a hunter, cannot go to a dog, of course. So meaning that anyway, you will have maximum 3 guys killed, okay? After this fighter makes this action, break this card. So it's just 1 attack. So you do 1 spell, okay? That can do 1 damage to all your surrounding opponents. So it's quite good, to say, to finalize it. You can see that there is a lot of things to make 1 wound to enemy. So what makes... And this is, I think it's also another one that is very crazy. This fighter, and this is only for AMOs, is for the guy that is already quite strong, with 2 damage, 3 hammers, or 2 damage, 2 hammers, okay? I guess this is the guy, I say it's the guy that wants to kill enemies in close combat. +1 damage to this fighter range 1 attack actions for each success or critical success in the attack roll. What that means, technically speaking? This meaning that this guy will always do 3 damage at least with this card, right? Because you need 1 success to hit. So at least you have to have 1 success. And there is a chance that if you have the 2 successes, you do 4 damage. And if you are inspired, you can do 5 damage in 1 attack. And it's an upgrade that is not breaking, so it will stay there. So you can see the cards, I will say, the power cards are quite strong. But the warband also needs good objective to be a really good warband. And I think the objective in this warband are quite difficult. And I think this is what is balancing the deck. And it's not going to make the deck, I think, overpowered at the end. When I read the first power cards, I thought that it was going to be a problem. But after reading the objective, I don't think there are some easy objectives, but not all of them are very easy and are very situational. Let's start with the first one. An eye for an eye. Okay, scoring this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action takes the target out of action. If 1 or more friendly fighters are out of action, can be a dog. Here you don't need to have a hunter out of action. So this is It's not bad, but you already have give, so but you have to have one of your guy kills. I will say it's quite a good objective. I will take it even if you don't play rivals. Next one, search. Score this immediately after an enemy fighter on a starting X in enemy territory is taken out of action. So this is demanding you to be very aggressive, and if the enemy is moving out, so it can be that at the end of the battle you can never score this one. So if you have it at the beginning, it can be easy to score. If you have it at the end, it can be very difficult to score. And it depends a lot on which warband you are fighting, and it's forcing you to be very aggressive. Okay. Next one, search hybrid. Score this immediately after your warband makes a fourth or subsequent attack action in the same round. You don't need to be successful. You don't need to make the fourth attack action, or after your second successful attack. I think this is auto-include. Okay, so far we have good objectives, but now I think we are going to have some that are not that easy. Score this end of the phase if 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action and there are 2 or more surviving friendly hunters. So this is not easy. Okay, as you can see, all of them are forcing you to be very aggressive and to go to the attack. You're getting glory for being killed and for killing. Okay, it can be scored. It's one that you will score round 2, round 3 normally. You forget to score it if you have it in your initial hand. It's better that you will not score it at the beginning. Okay, it's very difficult. Another of 2 points. Interrogate the weak. Score this and an end phase if there are 2 or more friendly hunters adjacent to the same enemy fighter, and that enemy fighter has 1 or more wound counters. Again, this looks easier than what reality it is. I play with champions with some similar cards, and a lot of times I end up killing my opponent, and then I don't score this anymore. Between scoring, I always prefer to attack, and if I kill my opponent, bad luck. But you have to be careful. This looks easier than what reality is. Okay, so these 2 are not that easy. Next one, lives in well spent. Score this end of phase if 2 or more friendly hunters are out of action. So as you can see, you need 2 of your guys being killed and have to be hunters. The dogs are not counting in that case. And you have scored 3 or more objectives. Again, it's another one for the end of the battles. Okay, so this can be scored quite at the beginning, and this have to be scored at the end. So we have some that require the game to move and to be more advanced in the game. Score this end of the phase if 2 or more friendly hunters each have 2 or more grades. Again, you will not score this in the first round normally. Okay, looks easy, but it can be more. You can need 2 guys with 2 upgrades. Not easy, eh? 2 guys with 2 upgrades is not normally what you want. So score this end of the phase if each surviving enemy fighter, at least one, has 1 or more charge tokens. Move or charge tokens. This can be scored at the beginning. Okay, you can move, charge at the beginning with the dogs. So it's forcing you to move each of your hunters, and the dogs to move it as a reaction. Each surviving enemy fighters, at least one, is in the same player's territory. So you have all of them. This is at the end of the turn. This is automatic at the end of the round if you are not in nobody's territory. Okay, unless you are in. So I think the last one is very easy at the end, can be more difficult at the beginning, and 1 or more opponents have each scored 6 or more objectives. Okay, so 1 or more opponents have scored each. So you need 1 opponent have. So this is really thing more. This I would say this is quite easy. For 2 glory points, this is quite a good one because there is a lot of things to accomplish. Score this end of the phase if 1 or more enemy fighters are out of action, okay, and 1 or more of those enemy fighters have 1 or more grades. So you have to kill 1 guy with 1 upgrade. For one glory, I think this for 2 glories is easier than this one for 1 glory. Why I say that? Because this is forcing you to be most likely in second round. Most likely. You can score it in first round, but the opponent have to have a player not great and will be at the end of the first round normally. The next one, score this, enter the phase if there are 3 or more surviving friendly fighters, and each surviving friendly fighter has 1 or more grades. Again, it's forcing you to spread upgrades. You have 2, that is forcing you to spread upgrades. Score this, enter the phase if there are 2 or more friendly fighters in enemy territory. Okay, if there are 2 or more, this is quite. It's forcing you to move towards the enemy, but with the dogs can be quite easy. You have to have your dogs alive at the end of the phase, by the way. And this is a hybrid one. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter is giving the second or subsequent upgrade in the same round, or after a second or subsequent move or charge token is removed from a friendly fighter during this action phase. I think you will score normally the first one. So the objectives, I don't think, except a couple of them, I think they are quite balanced. Some of them are quite difficult and some of them are quite easy. I would say can be quite easy if you have to upgrade. It can be quite easy to score. There are some that are quite easy to score, but I will say overall, if I need to play this Warband as a rivals, I will say we are going to see this Warband being quite strong in the rivals format, and I think as well on champions. So I think it's quite a strong Warband. I'm wondering if some of these cards will be restricted, because some of these cards have equivalent in champions that is restricted or even forbidden, because it's more in the relic format. And now let's make a look to the additional cards. So here we have the additional cards that are coming with this deck. I will not go through all of them, but I think they are quite, I think even for, let's call this, championship, there are some cards that are quite interesting. I think the ones for faction, some of them are quite powerful. For example, this one, the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation step has innate 1 support, so you have 1 support for free in the next activation, so this is quite good. If that fighter is an assassin, that fighter is considered to have 1 addition, so you have 2 supporting. So this one is really good. It's only for order. Okay, this is the one for order. The one for chaos I think was quite good as well. So this is a reaction play during a friendly fighter range 1 or 2 action step after the defense roll. If you do, deal 1 damage to the attacker. That attacker action has +1 damage until it has been resolved, and if the fighter is a slain, so you give 1 damage, you make 1 damage to you, but you do 1 additional damage. So this is quite interesting to finalize 1 attack, because it's a reaction, right? So you play it when it really matters. If you really need to kill this opponent, it can be quite a surprise kill. So I think it's quite interesting. This one I don't remember being interesting, and this one enemy fighter within 3 axes of 1 or more friendly fighters with 1 or more attack action upgrade. So in that upgrade, no, you break it and then you deal 1 damage. I don't think you will see this a lot. It requires you to break one of your objects that you have put in a guy to make 1 damage. It's very situational. I don't think it's good enough. Okay. Then we have, I will not go through all of them. We have, I think the domain cards are always interesting. So, we'll read some of them, but not all of them. So pick a feature token that is not an objective token and is in X that contains a fighter with no move or charge tokens. Pick a number and then flip the token. If you reveal an objective token with the number you pick, deal 1 damage to this fighter. So, and the point is, you know the ones that you have placed, right? So this guy is quite interesting, but yeah, it's a gambit and have to be a feature token that have an objective underneath. Okay. This is a domain at the end of the action phase. Pick 1. Give a fighter 1 upgrade from your hand. do not spend glory points. So it's an upgrade that give you a upgrade for free, or pick one objective token, then move the objective token into adjacent X. This is also interesting to move. So this is quite a good one. Okay, so you put it and it persists until, so you play that basically at the last round, at the last action of the action phase. Okay, melee. Play this after a domain gambit is played, -1 damage from attack actions to minimum of 1. This persists until the end of the round. Okay, so play. So you can pile this with one of your domains. Okay, but this -1 damage to attack actions, yours and the opponent. Okay, be careful with this one. Give each friendly fighter that is adjacent to one or more enemy fighters and is in enemy territory 1 guard token. Give to each friend. This is quite good. Give to each friendly fighter that is adjacent to one or more enemy fighters and is in enemy. But yeah, it's a lot of if for my taste. Choose enemy fighter in your territory. Stagger the chosen fighter. So this is quite straightforward. Very interesting for warbands if you play a championship for warbands like the Hexbanes that they need stagger. Okay, so a free stagger is always welcome. Straggler. Choose an enemy fighter in enemy territory that is 2 or more X's from each other enemy fighter. -2 defense in the next activation step from the chosen. So you really go for yeah. It's, I don't think you will score. You will be able to use it a lot. Mainly maybe on the last rounds if you are very aggressive and the opponent is very defensive. So here we have another domain. This is the Whirlpool. When a fighter is pushed, it cannot end. So when a fighter is pushed, it cannot end that push further from no one's territory. If this fighter is not possible, if this is not possible, that fighter is not pushed. So these are anti-pushing almost. This is almost an anti-pushing ability, because they have to push you against the no one's territory. So it's very tricky. I don't see not very interesting from my side. Spell attack with 2 damage, and the backlash cannot deal damage to this fighter. So this is really a good one. I think and this is only for, the only point is only, this is I'm not good at this, only for order. So we have 2 good cards for order on this deck. And this one again is I think it's quite strong. It's for chaos. The dice characteristic is equal to the number of adjacent enemy fighters. So at least you will have 1 hammer and have a scything. If this fighter is no girl, on top you have a snare. Okay. Not fan of this one. I really like. I think this one is very good. Okay. Damage to spell is quite good. This one I'm not very much. Pick 1 card in your objective discard pile, not your score objective pile. So it have to be one that you have not score and you have this card, and add it to your hand. Then discard on 1 objective card. This can be quite interesting. This can be quite interesting one. It's only for death, by the way. And the one, if this fighter is vulnerable, this fighter cannot be dealt damage except by attack actions. Okay, not, yeah. So they cannot be finished by lethal. Only can be damaged by attack action. So it's quite a bit. This is also this I like it. If you combine with if you play domains, this can be interesting. This fighter cannot be dealt damage by lethal excess and cannot be affected by domain gambits. This is quite interesting card. I'm thinking about this card. Here we have a map. You cannot give this card to a core fighter because it's a spell. Okay. If cast and another fighter has 1 or more glory points than you, gain 1 spend glory point. After this fighter makes this action, break this card. So I don't think it's worth it. Okay. And you are wither 1 while attempting to cast this spell and cannot attempt to cast any other spell. I don't think it's worth it, to be fair. This one, this is the Curse Musket. Okay, after this fighter makes an attack action, break this card. So it's 1 shot with 2 swords, range 4, 2 damage. The bounty gained when the enemy fighter is taken out of action by this attack action is spent glory unless this fighter is on a feature token. Not really good. 2 hammers, 2 damage, 1 range, plus 1 dice and a snare to this attack action during the round in which you one or more domains. So if you play with domains, this can be interesting. Yeah, plus 1 dice and a snare is good, and 2 damage. Curse key. It's more difficult of the all one. Okay, and you score if you fighter is in starting X in enemy territory. So it's quite easy. It's a glory point by the end of the battle. So I will include it. Why not? Reflective mask. After an activation step in which this fighter was dealt damage by an enemy fighter's range 1 or 2 attack, deal 2 damage to that enemy fighter and break this card. So this is pretty good. This is pretty good. But if you are killed, I don't think you can do that. After an activation step in which this fighter was dealt damage by enemy fighters, range 1. This can be pretty good. This is 2 damage to your opponent, is pretty good, but I think if you are killed, you cannot play that. I'm thinking. Is a reaction? Yeah, the reaction is before you die, so you do 2 damage to you. It's not bad. This fighter attack actions have grievous, and if this fighter is in cover, yeah, no. Although I'm most of the time in cover. So there are some good cards. There are some that I will use, definitely, like the mask, for example, and other ones that I have seen. I think there are some interesting cards. Are there obliged? I don't think so. Then we have the objective. Score at the end of the phase if your leader is holding an objective that is not in your territory. This is better than the old one, okay? And your leader is inspired. Sorry, no, it's worse. It's not better. It's different. Okay, and have to be ordered. So you have to be inspired, and you cannot score it at the beginning of the battle. Not good, not good enough. I don't like these ones that is forcing you to move to enemy territory and be on objective. Score this immediately after a third of subsequent ploy chooses the same friendly fighter in the same round. One friendly fighter is giving the third of subsequent upgrade in the same round. This is difficult. I think it's no. I don't think it's good. It's worse than the gear for battle. For hybrid, and this for death. Score this end of phase if there are no enemy fighters in your territory, or one or more enemy beasts are out of action. This is quite easy. This can be quite It's very situational. Depends a lot against which warband. I think this one can be used, especially with warbands like the vampires that tend to be very aggressive. And there are a lot of beasts now on the game. Search. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter attack action that took a staggered target. Oh, I don't think you will use this one. And I don't think destruction plays with the staggered too much. Now we have the generic ones. Score this immediately after an enemy fighter is taken out of action. Okay? If 2 or more friendly fighters were adjacent to that enemy fighter when that fighter was taken. So you need a supporting fighter. And this is quite easy. I think this can be scored quite easily with warbands that have a lot of guys. Flying high. Hybrid, score this end of the phase if there are more flying friendly fighters in enemy territory than there are enemy fighters in your territory, and or 3 or more surviving friendly fighters are inspired. This, I think, is quite good. This is quite good. And there are some warbands that, especially if you play with the ghosts. Gosh. If you play with ghosts, that all of them, I think, have flying, if I'm not wrong, this is almost how to score it. So there are some warbands that they can really score this very easily. Score this end of phase if 1 or more friendly brawlers each make 2 or more attack actions in this round, so you only want 1 brawler, by the way, or 1 or more friendly fighters each made 2 or more attack actions in this round, and each of those Attack actions target a different... Okay, one or more friendly fighters. Okay, this can be also quite easy to score. And you have to be target a different, but that you don't have to be successful. So this is quite interesting one. This is quite an easy one to score. So you can see there are some good objectives here, I think. There are some good objectives. Score enters the phase if one or more friendly fighters on guard are adjacent to one or more enemy. This with the Miaris almost is an auto score. If you play this with some upgrades that give you guard, it's quite. This is also quite good, depending on the deck, but can be quite interesting one. This one, score this end of the phase if one or more friendly beasts and or companions are within 2 axes of one or more enemy leaders. With this warband that you see here in the picture, quite easy. One lobby. Or one or more friendly fighters are adjacent to one or more enemy leaders. But you have to be within 2 axes. So I think if you have beast, I will really think about this one. I think it's quite a good one. It's not easy. It's not an excellent one, but it's quite good. Only 1 glory, but can score this end of the phase if one or more friendly fighters each have 2 or more upgrades, and each of those fighters is holding objective. This is not worth it. This is really bad. You need 2 upgrades and to hold objective on top. Forget it. They are much easier objectives. And that's all. That's all what is coming in this. So just to summarize, we are talking here of a warband with 6 guys that they want to play very aggressively. Okay, so they are designed to really attack your opponent, to accept the losses, and it's a warband that I think will be very fun to play, because it's forcing you to play very aggressively against your opponent. You score for being aggressive. Your upgrades and your plots are designed for being aggressive, and also your inspiration and your way of and the characteristic of the unit is also designed for that. The thing that you have to be very careful. The thing that you have to be careful is they are very easy to kill as well. Okay, most of them have only 1 shield or 1 dodge, 2 or 3 wounds. Okay, so they are easy to kill. When they got inspired, they got more resilient, but yeah, they are not the strongest warbands. If we talk about the additional cards, we have some additional cards that are interesting, except especially we have some objectives that can be quite interesting to have. So if you are a lot into the championship, I will recommend to buy this deck. Most likely yes, as well, because I think the warband is going to be very interesting for rivals. I think it's going to be I think higher tier in rivals as well. So that's all for this video. So please let me know what do you think. Give in the comments below. Let me know if you are if you agree with my conclusion. If you agree that this warband is going to be quite interesting, and we are going to see this quite often on the battlefield. That's all for now. As usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.